Screamed in terror that fine day. Saw that purple wig and did not know what to say. It left me sort of startled and confused. Red lips and white makeup and those big old red shoes. But my daddy tore a knot in me for being so damn rude. He said, son, don't you know that clowns are people too? Clowns are people too. Big red shoes. Clowns are people too. Don't be rude. If you weren't a bit lucky, then this could easily be you. I met your mom when she was up on that old trapeze. What can I say but hey, I had a thing for circus freaks. I started watching Bozo and warmed to the movie It. Killer Clowns from Outer Space to me was a big hit. Some people like McDonald's because of Mayor McCheese, but Ronald is my homeboy now, and Krusty and Pinky. Clowns are people too. Big red shoes. Clowns are people too. Don't be rude. If you weren't a bit lucky, then this could easily be you. I met your mom when she was up on that old trapeze. What can I say but hey, I had a thing for circus freaks. Clowns are people too. Clowns are people too. Now I own some tiny horns and got me those red shoes. I don't know much but know one thing that's true. If you don't know anything, just know that clowns are people too.
Welcome to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, part of the Chief Sports Network.
Mad Dog's upstate raised and reared up near the tater patch. He flirted with that upstate team, now bleeds garnet and black. It's been almost 2 decades since JC started Big Spur. He may live outside of Chicago, but he's all Spartanburg. It's the show, the Gamecock Show. ITG, Phil and JC, it's the show. It's fun and entertainment, but also information, things you cannot get on radio. It's the show. Gather around all you Gamecocks, it's the show. The show. Let's go. JC and Mad Dog Mully on the Gamecock Show.
Welcome in, everybody. It is Inside the Gamecocks, the show. We're rolling right along here. Happy Friday to everybody. Hope you get your lunch in front of you. Let's have some sandwiches and, and maybe we'll even start having some beers. It is Friday, and I'm sure Lance is around, and I know he's never afraid to start the weekend a little early. Fortunately for Lance, he's more of a football homer than he is baseball, because we don't want to even think about that right now. One thing I do need to clear up, two things actually I need to clear up, Jason, before we get rolling.
This headline that I'm looking at,
yeah.
Lands an elite.
Oh my God.
Go ahead, Phil. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Lands on elite. Okay, hold on. Yeah, let's see.
Lands
no.
in
Yeah.
Just put Landon Duckworth on there, because that's the guy.
Yeah,
that
I know. Yeah,
Landon
I was
Duckworth
trying to
thing.
keep it. Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
Oh, dude, I've done the same thing many times.
I said lands on elite QB top 5. Yeah, so
Man,
anyway,
yeah,
I've got
I don't know.
HVAC work happening right now. So if you do hear a
Oh
little
my
noises,
God! What? We should just cancel the whole
finally,
thing.
I know if there is some, if there is a few, sounds of power tools in the background, that's coming through the ductwork, and
Brand.
I shorted Shadur Sanders yesterday because the Pope was actually on he was a 4 ballot Pope, not a 3 ballot Pope. So he was only 1 round better than Shadur heading to the NFL in the draft.
Oh man, Shadur's gonna strike you dead, man.
Yeah,
He
whatever.
probably thinks he's got that power. I actually kind of feel a little sorry for him.
I
I
do too,
I think
it's yeah.
I think the whole thing with him is he's got talent. People I think mischaracterize him as being. I think he's just spoiled. He's a spoiled rich kid. His daddy wasn't. His daddy came up in Fort
Right.
Myers from nothing and worked for everything he's got. But that doesn't mean the son is going to be the same way. I think he's spoiled. But I think too, though, if he takes this as a humbling thing and works hard, he could be an NFL quarterback. There's plenty that got drafted in later rounds that end up being good. Some of them are good early.
Yeah. I mean, there is no correlation between where he was drafted and how good he could be. All of that right now is on him. What's he got between his ears? What's he got in his chest? And is he going to be able to tune out the noise? And after that, it's all, scheme and coordinator. So I wish him the best. Any of these guys that go to the NFL, I don't care where they come from, man. That they're living out their dreams, right? I mean, and go be the best you can be, and make sure you just give it your all. And typically, when that happens, good things work out for folks.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to work out for 2 folks up in Chapel Hill.
We'll see.
And I'm going to talk about that here in a second. It's on the. I keep getting asked about it. I don't understand. Maybe some can help me why this is something everybody's talking about. I don't understand why Pablo Torre, not my favorite quote unquote journalist, but he does report why he has this hard on for the Bill Belichick girlfriend situation. Maybe he's offended because she yelled at a journalist, which I guess some people that call themselves journalists, they don't want you to do, but it's kind of crazy with that. But I'll start off with baseball since that seems to be what everybody wants to talk about. And I talked about it for about 15, 20 minutes on coffee this morning, and I'll just tell you where I stand. It's an embarrassment. This is not just based on a 24-2 loss to a team that finished at the bottom of the SEC last year. On Auburn, I believe it was last year. They were really bad, had a really bad record. Maybe it was last year.
Yeah,
because 2 years ago they were good and came to Carolina and won 2 of 3 and got hot at the end. Yeah, they've turned it around in one season. There's more to it than players. There's more talent on this team than what the record shows, and certainly with what the performance shows. I think people that, talking to JB and Whittle and people that follow it, and just common sense, that they're good players on this team. I mean, some have been in and out. Some have been in the doghouse. Why isn't Jordan Carrion playing? Can anybody explain that to me? He's hitting 350 in SEC play. Can anybody explain that? Tell me why? Because he made 1 error in a game. Yeah, he's the best defensive middle infielder on the team.
It's hard to make errors in the middle infield when you're, pitching is giving up so many.
I mean, why is Blake Jackson, who gets on base, why is he on the? I mean, there's a lot of questions there about the coaching as it relates to the players, and then don't even get me started on the pitching. It's the worst pitching coach South Carolina's had in 30 years, and there's no debate. Even if he came back next year and had a good year, by comparison, he's a major step down from what they had just as recently as last season with Matt Williams. And before that with Justin Parker, and before that with Skylar Meade, and before that with Jerry Myers, and before that with Mark Calvey. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Okay. Is this the most talented team in the SEC? No. Is this a team that should not, under any circumstances, be sitting at 5-20? Clint says 46 runs in 2 games. Actually, it's a little higher than that. It's 54-3. Because remember, they had a second game of a doubleheader after getting beat 22-3 by Florida. They lost 8-0.
Yeah.
So that's 54 runs, 63 runs if you count the Friday game. So they've been outscored 63 to what? 12?
It's embarrassing. That's the most accurate way to put it. Is the way that this panned out is embarrassing, and something needs to happen to get it fixed before next season. And I think it's both, and I don't know if you're going to be able to, because here's the thing: you're coming in, we're going to win now, and you're going to try to rebuild.
Yeah,
but I didn't realize we were going to have to, completely raise the building to set a new foundation here. It didn't look like that's what you needed.
I mean, Missouri's the worst team in the league, but I'm just looking at their scores. They play A&M tonight in College Station. They played Georgia last weekend. Georgia's all of a sudden a top 10 program for the second straight year. That should be something that's unacceptable. If you're South Carolina, by comparison, Alabama before that is number 16. They got swept in all those games, but 9-2, 5-2, 4-2. That's not a team that's gone out there and mailed it in. Now they had a series with Oklahoma, where they gave up 46 runs, but that's the University of Missouri baseball team. Yes, they've been to Omaha, but they hadn't been to Omaha since the 1950s, Phil, and Phil's gone, but that's fine. And so I'm just like, this team's mailed it in. I think that's pretty clear. They've all given up. And this is not like basketball, where basketball really fundamentally, if you look at the way the season played out, even at the end, the guys didn't give up. They weren't the smartest basketball players. They didn't know how to win. They lost a bunch of games and had a historically bad SEC season, just like this team. But they didn't just mail it in. I mean, even down 20 in the second half against Arkansas, you felt like up in Nashville, let's just get it over with. And they came back, and heck, they almost won the game.
Right.
Nothing really to play for, barring a miracle, and they almost won the game. That's a team that's a losing team. That's a program that probably needed a reset roster-wise. That's not a team that's just cashed it, given up. And you look at some of the decisions that have been made. I even feel, not being a baseball guy or whatever, this whole Paul Maneri hates walks and doesn't want to walk thing. Maybe I've watched Moneyball one too many times lately because I like the movie. I said this on Coffee. I'm repeating a lot of what I said this morning. But dude, what does the walk get you? You get on base. That's another player that the pitcher doesn't have to get out. Going up there and smacking it to the third baseman on the ground over and over again gets you nowhere. It takes you out of big innings.
Yeah. Which,
with the way the pitching staff has given up runs, you probably need a few of those.
You could use a few more. That's for sure.
You could use some of that. And so I don't care. Look, and I made this again. I'm repeating myself. Steve Spurrier would have rather eaten a bucket of chalk than score a rushing touchdown.
Right.
He loved touchdown passes. Now, he'd rather throw a 25-yard pass than run it 5. But guess what? How did he win at South Carolina as opposed to how he did it at Florida? He ran the ball and played defense a lot, had a mobile quarterback, which is something he really wasn't familiar with. And if they had to give it to Marcus Lattimore 35 times, they did. Good coaches who are still able to coach well, they have a philosophy, but in sports, you adjust. And this team, given this league, this team was going to have to maximize every bit of talent they got. there's some pitchers on sitting there that haven't even seen the field that could help probably, it's just, there's, like I said, it's easy to sit there and say one thing or the other, to say, oh, it's coaching. It's all coaching. They need new coaches, or, oh, that's players. They all need new players. I think it's both, but I think there's a lot more to the coaching part of it that's quite frankly shocking, given what Paul Mainieri. I mean, nobody, even if you didn't think it was a good hire, I don't think anybody predicted this. Okay.
No.
And it's not just, oh, well, wait till he gets his players in or whatever. It's a Gamecock baseball, even in the Holbrook and Kingston years, that team that went 8-22 in the league a few years back, the whole entire pitching staff was wiped out. They at least had some good moments here and there. They didn't give up. Holbrook's teams that did not make the tournament, there were two of them. They still played hard and were trying at the end. They just didn't make it. Last year's team, with as big of a collapse as they had at the end, and as much as I believe there should have been a change, last year's team would take this team this year and not only outplay them, but outcoach them, coach circles around them, decisions, all that. And I didn't think the decision making was all that super duper last season.
I mean, and I know you lost some guys last year, to the major league draft, but you brought in others. I mean, but it wasn't like you lost 7 guys off the field.
It's like what Whittle said. They've up almost player for player when you do the comparisons, Phil.
Yeah,
they've upgraded at just about every position,
right, from a talent perspective.
Yeah,
and yet,
I mean, except catcher, which you knew was going to be a significant drop off. But who knows what Ryan Bakes could do, because he's a really good hitter and he never gets to play.
No, and the LeCroy injury was very detrimental to the team early. I get it, but there again, like you said, I mean, we saw a guy last year who got in some quality bats, and
LeCroy wouldn't have made a difference on this group.
No. I mean, even if you add him back, that's not gonna get you over the hump, right?
And I thought he was playing well, and it did hurt, but there's just a lot of I don't know, man.
Well, quite frankly, all of this boils down to, in my opinion, JC, there is zero excuse whatsoever for the performance that this baseball team has put together this season. Zero. Like it's from all aspects, players down to coaches, like the entire thing. That it's embarrassing and it is completely unjustified. And I don't know what's going on there. Obviously, a disconnect. And you hate to see it, especially in these times when that everybody's making money somehow. Everybody's benefiting from this financially in some way, shape, or fashion, just about. And you're not able to put anything better out there than what you've got now. You can't even hold the mentality of the team together, whether it be coaches or, peer leadership, to play for the damn uniform, to play for yourself. You got no pride. I mean, I know they do. I've seen it before. We saw most of this team perform better than they did last year. So it just doesn't, I don't get it. I'm not sure how you fix it, but I don't think that blowing it up in one season like we've seen this year is what anybody intended. And there's zero excuse for it.
Now, I will say this is not something that's crazy unique to South Carolina baseball, to college baseball, college sports. You have situations where, hey, it's just not working out, rock and roll. Now I don't know that the university is capable of firing him, because the timing is horrible with this, because we are in a situation where he's in his first year, first and foremost, and every first year coach is going to have a significant buyout. If you can him after, that's why you have buyouts, right? Now this one's a little interesting. It's not, I mean, it's a little bit higher then maybe. But when you hire a guy that's got a national championship, it's got, it's funny, Phil, how sometimes coaching salaries, when you really look at them, they're just like any other job. Experience and resume gets you a higher,
Right.
because that's what their agents are negotiating.
Yeah, you get a higher initial
higher,
offer, you
so
get higher buyout. Yeah, right.
to buy him out would be pricey for a baseball buyout, but
And good luck convincing the board, who is staring down,
they need to not have a
no, but
say
they do, but that's
yeah,
that's the one of the worst parts about this is you've got a board scared as hell who's staring down a $20+ million bill that's about to get dropped on them, and they're not going to make a move like that. They're not going to approve of a move like that. So what do you do?
Then they need to look at what Kentucky's doing and separate from the university. I mean, I think it should be up to two people. Michael Amarides, the president, and Jeremiah Minotti, and the board needs to just not continue to be involved in athletic hires other than, you want to hire somebody that, you wanted a new AD. You got one.
Right.
You
exactly.
need to let him do the job. Nobody that pays taxes, supports the Gamecocks, that supports your candidacy as a member of the board. Nobody in this state or out of the state has tasked you with micromanaging an athletic department. They've tasked you with being good stewards for the entire university.
Yeah.
And they've tasked you with, hiring good people to make good decisions. And that's what you did when you made a new athletic director hire. You need to let him make the decision along with the school president. The school president says no, fine. That's the way it works. But nobody from the board of trustees should not have anything to do with it except approve the contract when it comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and you laid it out perfect in that, you went and got your guy to head up the athletics department. So, you need to be behind him in the decisions that he makes. Period.
I think a lot of folks, I think there needs to be a focus on winning, and if you're not winning and it could get worse, then, it is a non-revenue sport, but, it does matter at South Carolina. And I'm not saying the board of trustees is bad I think they've made a lot of good changes, as far as athletics goes.
I mean, they've approved some projects that really have improved the state of the athletics. I mean, and I'm not going to put it all on them. I'm just like, I just can't see the administration and the board making a move that's going to cost them another, $5 to $7 million to make this change.
And there's also been with these government, there's been some federal money that I think they're missing now. I read in the state newspaper 17.5 million for something. I don't know exactly what it was. The University of South Carolina, though, is a 1 point something billion dollar a year enterprise.
Right.
It's not. They're not. I mean, it's not like if you make this move, everybody's gonna go broke. You're gonna have to take the Chick-fil-A out of the Russell House or something. I mean, it's not gonna be like that. And sometimes you got to swallow it. Now, I'm not saying that they can't. The bigger issue for me is where we're at in college sports, and it's also Phil, the unknown.
Yeah.
This House settlement now, as it continues to get dragged out, is could have a more direct impact, because on one hand, if it continues to drag out, it gives you flexibility with NIL dollars for baseball. But on the other hand, with the unknown, how can you possibly, because at some point, like I said, Jeremiah Donati, leadership at the university, the president, they have to be good stewards. You can't just spend like drunken sailors.
No.
Even Texas with all this is going up on ticket prices. Ohio State was 30 million in the red last year. Mm-hmm. Those are the two highest revenue grossing athletics departments in America. Carolina doesn't come close to that. And they're nickel and diamond.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing is, you still have to be good stewards. So, how is that going to impact? The other question I would have, I mean, a lot of these buyouts now that used to be, because the old joke used to be Carolina's still paying 4 football coaches. They're still paying Carlin. I heard that growing up.
God, yeah.
They're still paying Frank McGuire, it used to be they just, these guys, you get fired, you just kind of stay on the payroll. So you get your check every month until but and with Will Muschamp's buyout, it could have been scheduled out, but it's more like bigger installments, right? Every quarter, something like that.
Yeah.
And he agreed to a lump sum to get it on off the books.
And there's nothing like mailbox money, but I don't think Coach Mainieri's reason for coming here was to collect that, ultimately.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And what I was told today is, that they're kind of just hoping, the best thing that can happen is he just quits. He just, says I'm, and that happens sometimes. Coach gets back in. I mean, Howard Schnellenberger. Now he ended up going and coaching at FAU for a long time and doing quite well down there. But he took the Oklahoma job in football, went 5-6, and was out. Like, I'm out. Yep. No, this isn't for me. Boomer Sooner. That's the Oklahoma. I mean, so this type of thing does happen after one season, and you can't make it about his age though. That's against the law.
Right. Yeah. You can't say he's too old.
For everybody out there's like, he's too old to turn it around. Well, that can't be the university's position because that's against the law. You can't do that. I think some honest conversations need to be had, but there's a lot of questions. And because of the uncertainty with rev share, because Phil, they don't know right now if the House settlement is not approved.
Right.
It ends up going towards trial. What's been reported as to what will happen is the state laws in every state will revert back. My understanding is the state of South Carolina will make it work for Carolina and Clemson. And the schools are just going to pay players directly and say, I don't care what you say, NCAA, this is our state law. This is what we're going to do. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
Which will open a huge can of worms. But, so they don't know if, you're going to kind of be a little bit over or under, or it's just so up in the air. Would it be irresponsible and you got to look at it like this. We all love baseball, right? And we're all mad. I don't know if I'm mad. I'm very disappointed.
It's disappointing. Yeah.
It's disappointing. If you look at it, we all love baseball, but it is a non-revenue sport.
Right.
It doesn't make a dime.
No.
It doesn't hardly even breaks even. Right. Doesn't lose as much as some sports, but it does lose money.
Yeah. And if you project this year's, record onto what next year's like season ticket pre-sales and things like that are going to be, the revenue for baseball is going to be even less.
It will be.
You'll have to account for a little bit of that.
You have to account. Sometimes that money that people kind of get under the impression that, well, if you take away their ticket sale, that's usually not as much, as we may think.
No. I mean,
that's been my experiences. Now, like in football, like, gosh, I remember Arkansas and Chad Morris, which is what this situation sort of reminds me of. Except for obviously Paul Mainieri had a little bit better track record than Chad Morris, although Chad Morris won at SMU. I mean, it wasn't like he was not winning.
True.
But it got so bad. I mean, they got thumped by North Texas and Western Kentucky at home. And there are about 20,000 people in there calling the Hogs. And in football, if you play in front of an empty stadium, that can affect you way down the road because you can't recruit. Nobody wants to take your job. I mean, honestly, they ended up with Sam Pittman. I thought Lane Kiffin, because of his dad's ties to Arkansas, would take Arkansas over Ole Miss, but he opted for Ole Miss. So that shows you kind of where people thought Arkansas football was at the time. And that was a disaster of 2 years.
Right.
And that hurt them. That's hurt them. That's hurt Sam Pittman. It's hurt their ability to recruit. It's hurt their ability to raise NIL funds for football. Because we all talk Walmart and Tyson's Chicken and all that. And yes, John Calipari got what he wanted. But the football program doesn't have that. Look at their outbound portal numbers in football every year. It's
It
not that
is.
Sam Pittman's a bad guy.
No.
Now they don't like playing for the pit balls or Arkansas or the catfish hole. It's money, you know.
Mhm.
I think South Carolina's pretty fortunate that they don't have a situation like that. And that's
Right.
Arkansas, a flagship school in one state with major corporate resources in their area. But, you know, like everybody that worries about that and always says Walmart money will get Arkansas's NIL going. It doesn't. You know, it's corporations like that can't. They don't, you know. The Tyson Chicken guy individually is helping Calipari.
Right.
But those 2 years under Chad Morris were disasters. I mean, you could have made a strong argument to can him after the first year because it just didn't. Nothing about that felt right. He didn't win an SEC game. I don't think. No, he didn't.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, no.
So, you know, I think sometimes in sports you got to pull the plug when you need to. I'm of the opinion, and I hope that I'm wrong. You know, obviously, if Paul Maneri is retained, I will hope, and I won't harp on this all offseason.
No, it's not something that we're going to, you know, continue to beat some sort of drum. Because here's the thing. It was like, what I want is for baseball to have a good season.
Yeah.
And whatever that looks like, and whatever the people who are in power that make these decisions think that the best path to do that is for next season is something that, as a Carolina fan, as somebody who is all in for the name on the front of the jersey, is going to support. If that's your guy, that's your guy. But here,
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a body of work in a single season that is not just less than impressive, but at times embarrassing and is disappointing. So we're allowed to have our emotions and feelings and have discussions about what the best way to fix this is, knowing that full well none of it is within our sphere of influence or control. So the guy that they pick and the team that they roll out next year is going to get my support just as much as they did this year. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, but you know, I don't know how you're going to fix it.
Right.
You know, and there's a money thing too now, and that's what kind of made me, you know, kind of look at it and go, well, number one, the recruiting coordinator and pitching coach needs to go, but will he? I mean, that's the only guy Maneri's worked with that he brought in. Everybody else is new.
Yeah, and
Or
it's
new
our
to him,
understanding
at
what
least.
that was a critical piece for him doing this, right? Was to have his guy.
You worry about it because he kind of operates more like an assistant head coach than a pitching coach and recruiting coordinator.
Right.
There are a lot of decisions being made running through that.
Yeah, and there is a guy with the associate head coach title on there that is not the same person.
Yeah, it to me, it's like it's like, man, why you're not going to hire the guy that couldn't get it done at UCF, or where is he? Was he also at Purdue?
Terry Oh yeah,
as the head coach, so he shouldn't be making head coaching decisions. And quite frankly, there's no big track record as a pitching coach there either. I mean, in my opinion, it's just, and I'm not coming down on him. I don't know him. You know, I've never met him before in my life.
No.
Oh, he was an assistant at Purdue, recruiting, and an interim head coach at Alabama.
Yeah, and I thought that if I remember right, JC, like it was about his recruiting prowess more so than actually his, you know.
I mean, it's probably not that hard.
You know what? Yeah.
I mean, look, and if you want to talk about LSU, he was there the first couple of years. They did win the national championship in 2009. That was 16 years ago. You know, 7 8 years of mediocre ball at a school with a lot of resources in the talent-rich state of Florida, UCF. You know, a very unremarkable record. I mean, we think sometimes people talk about how Mark Kingston didn't do that well at South Florida, which is a different animal than UCF. The South Florida situation is they've never really gotten it off the ground.
Right.
But every now and then UCF has been really good at times, should be really good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they weren't in the Big 12 either. They were in Conference USA and the American.
Yeah.
And so, and you look, okay, here are the pitching coach. He was the pitching coach at Houston for 4 years. And then was not a pitching coach the next 3 at Purdue and also LSU. So why would South Carolina, would Mark Kingston have hired this guy as the pitching coach? Would Chad Holbrook have hired this guy as the pitching coach? I know Ray Tanner wouldn't have. And so why in an SEC job like this would you hire? I mean, that is almost like Shane Beamer hiring a guy that's never called plays as the OC right away.
Right.
Now, I know sometimes it looked like he hired a guy that never called plays. Not to beat that dead horse. But
he was just bad. Yeah.
Nobody would do that.
No.
I mean, sometimes you do give it to a guy who's never called plays. Ohio State's doing that this year. But and I guess Terry Rooney, it's probably unfair of me to say, he does have 4 years as the pitching coach at Houston. But you wouldn't hire. I mean, a pitching coach is important, dude. And then he's the recruiting coordinator on top of that. I guess he was the recruiting coordinator under Johnson last year at LSU. But I mean, maybe the recruiting, maybe he pulls a miracle in the portal and all this offseason. But I mean, I think LSU coming off a national championship, recruiting there in 1 year is a lot different than recruiting to South Carolina right now with the shape the program's in.
Right.
And so I don't know. I just don't know. That whole thing has never set that well with me. I just kind of trusted. I mean, obviously, this guy, Maneri wants him, he gets him. But, there's sometimes you give a guy that's been with you for a while a little too much power because you're comfortable and he doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground, as well as, he knows it. I'm not saying he doesn't know anything.
Yeah. And the next thing you know, you're
25. Compared to other options, he's limited. Okay, how about that? I didn't mean to say ass from a hole in the ground.
No, but I mean, and then 25, games in, you're like, ooh, maybe this wasn't the best decision.
Oh no, he's making decisions.
But
it's like he and Maneri are the deciders. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah, right.
They're like Bush. Remember Bush? I'm the decider. Cheney,
the decider.
I'm the decider. Tourist. Now watch this drive.
Evildoers.
Evildoers. Sometimes I miss that guy. But just kind of the way he talks, kind of squint. But anyway, we're gonna get to the Nana Sports Chat box after this and probably get into some other things. But count yours truly on. And I've never said this about a first-year head coach. My 20 years covering Carolina, talking about Carolina. Never said this about a first-year head coach in any sport. But I count me on team. If a change happens, I'll probably be a little happier.
Yeah, right.
Or let's take emotion out of it. I'll probably will agree with the move strongly because I just don't see it getting any better. And guys, gals, I like Paul Maneri. I mean, he's been a guest on our show. He's great to listen to. He's a nice guy in public,
But there, when you're making some public comments that he has made, it doesn't really bode well for. If you are throwing your players under the bus, you better be coaching your ass off and making impeccable decisions in any sport. Any sport. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And nobody can sit there and make an argument that the coaching has been fantastic. It's just all on the players.
No.
You can't make that argument. All right. The argument I can make is about Ryan Brewer Fence. Ryan Brewer Fence. We know Ryan Brewer played for Lou Holtz here. An outstanding company. Ryan Brewer Fence sponsors part of the show, the morning show, Mike Morgan, all that good stuff. He sponsored Mike for years. RyanBrewerFence.com. Mike has used him before. When I get a fence, when I inevitably move back, I know I will be calling him. And the dude looks like $1 zillion. Ryan Brewer is built. That dude, you just kind of sit back and admire that about that guy. And of course, a legendary football player here at South Carolina. But Ryan Brewer Fence, RyanBrewerFence.com. We'll be back after these messages on the show. Thank God it's Friday.
this is Cornbread Cowboy, and you're listening to the show. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions. Basement crawl space encapsulation designed for your specific needs. Your crawl space can be susceptible to all sorts of issues, including moisture buildup, mold growth, and structural damage if not cared for properly. Let our trained experts provide basement crawl space encapsulation solutions to protect your home, improve air quality, and enhance energy efficiency. Schedule your consultation today for a safer, healthier space at dryspacecs.com. Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions, proud supporters of your South Carolina Gamecocks.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more. Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach, and Bluffton, and online at palmcasual.com for our products and out-of-state locations. Go Gamecocks! Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say, and so does nationally recognized the Barndominium Company, where they are building dream homes in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their turnkey process can be custom designed and takes 6 months on average. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com, thebarndominiumco.com.
Welcome back, everybody, inside the Gamecocks, the show. Rolling on here on a Friday, like JC said to close it out. Thank God it's Friday. Look, you got big plans for Mother's Day this weekend, JC?
I not for Mother's Day, although it wouldn't hurt my feelings if Vara, my mother-in-law, shout out to Vara.
Right.
Happy Mother's Day to her. She's a wonderful lady. Took us to Foga de Chao.
Hey.
We took her one time, dude. For 6 of us.
Oh man.
480 bones.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
like, I haven't spent that much on my own mother combined on Mother's Day. Enjoy your meat, people. But they loved it, they're Thai. They don't, like, oh my God, I can't believe it's a land of abundance,
That's right. Yeah, right.
We're all fat except Phil. He's not.
Well,
or Jamie Bradford, who's had to eat an avocado for lunch for the last
I
6
definitely
months.
have fat tendencies.
My dad told me that when I was a kid, because I was all head.
Yeah.
158 pounds, 6 feet tall from 6th grade to 11th. And he's like, blah, 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 fat. And I'm like, oh, Dad, good God.
I know.
I'm like, you're fatter than me. You got fat tendencies. And lo and behold, he was right, dude. You can't eat the beacon burger aplenty for every meal and not gain weight your whole life.
I know. I have to remind myself of that.
Fat tendencies, dog. That's the thing.
I made a very hearty and savory chicken and dumplings for dinner last night, and I'm like,
guilty.
Oh, let's have another couple of bowls.
Here's my big problem. Chick-fil-A did not deliver on DoorDash here for 2 years. And they just rejoined. So yesterday I'm like, oh, Chick-fil-A sounds good.
Yeah, nuggets and a chicken.
So I asked my stepson if he wanted something, and I was getting the podcast up, and he didn't respond. I guess he's taking a nap, and so about 15 minutes passed, and the urge left me, and I was like, "Nah, I'll just go have these Brussels sprouts that are sitting in here." And then he responded, "Yes,
Yes,
I'd like some Chick-fil-A." And I was like, "Well, since he asked,
I love that.
So
I'll do
anyway,
that. I'll be like, "What do you feel like having for dinner?" And ask my 9-year-old, and she's
oh
like,
yeah,
"Oh
candy."
yeah, I want to go Mexican." Okay,
I had Mexican last night, Phil.
nice.
It was actually pretty good. I had a smaller portion than I normally do. I kind of found the sweet spot with it because we order from this Mexican place, and it's not like the Mexican places in South Carolina, like Monterey,
right,
that I'm
yeah.
used to. Phil and I actually one bright and sunny spring day, and his family sat down to a delicious meal from I think Monterey or one of those Mexican places in Greenville, and it was good. But the burritos are huge, like just too much to eat, like big, like they're like Welcome to Moe's football size.
Yeah, right.
And so, but then if you get the tacos, sometimes I don't know. So, but I hit the sweet spot with it yesterday. Finally, I got the kid size.
Oh, okay.
First time in my life I've ever ordered anything since I was actually a kid. So I got that taken care of. But yeah, so we're not, I don't know what this plan for Sunday is now. Tomorrow we have a 50th birthday party for one of her good friends, Somi.
Oh, okay.
And her husband Tad up in the city. So we get to get to go up in the city, and I got my bulletproof vest and
right.
Anti-aircraft.
Yeah, right. I know.
Speaking of aircraft, I stepped outside just now and did some fresh air during the break, and we live in the glide path for Midway, so Southwest planes are coming over our house all day.
Yeah.
Well, I saw one on the right side going one way, and the one on the other going like the other way diagonally. So this air traffic control thing kind of got me nervous. But so I'm keeping one eye on the front yard. Nevertheless, Nana Sports Chat Box exclusively for Club Chief members. We certainly love all of our Club Chief members, and thank you for being a part of that and getting into the chat box. And Clint says, clearly these guys have mailed it in. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Ben, I'm going to get back to your Belichick stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've got that bookmark. Coaching seems both incompetent and apathetic. Can't be allowed to return. Well, here's the thing too. I got 2 points on that. The first point is, and guys, I'm a football person, and baseball is just something fun for me to watch. I know enough to intelligently talk about it at times. But at Carolina and in college baseball, most of the time, your pitching coach is like your play caller. He's calling pitches. And so what I've noticed is that ain't been too good. And visits to the mound have often resulted in disaster.
I know.
So there's that, on that side of it. And then the I hate walks thing again. I look, when you admittedly say we don't have a lot of power hitters on this team, and then you're like, I hate walks, so just swing away. Well, what the hell do you expect? Well, explain that to me like I'm an idiot, because maybe I am. Maybe that's my baseball. Maybe somebody needs to smack me in the face and tell me, hey, it's just baseball. And I'm sorry we didn't get Stuart Lake and Jamie Bradford on here to talk about this day. You got yours truly and Phil. We just like the sport.
Yeah.
But if we're sitting there noticing this, and I'm not wrong, and if I'm not wrong, I could be wrong. I don't get it. I mean, so you really are calling pitches over there. Oh, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, I mean, they got those little devices in their ear, so you imagine somebody's feeding info in there,
So
I don't get it.
Ben says Skylar Meade, Landon Powell. Yeah, those are two guys who I think are attainable, and obviously Landon Powell will be attainable. And you know what? You're gonna. There's two schools of thoughts on Landon. Number one, and this is where I kind of lean, is winning at any level. Some of your best coaches in college sports have won at lower levels. That's why I'm still kind of bullish on Kalen DeBoer. Now, the Alabama job may not be the fit for him.
Right.
I mean, he may end up back on the West Coast winning championships. But the guy went 66-3 at Sioux Falls. That's why I don't, although Brian Kelly probably isn't the best human being in the world. I mean,
it is what it is.
I mean, look at what happened at Notre Dame and
Well,
stuff.
you just can't trust him at the end of the season in the press conferences.
He wins, and he wins because what I respect about him is he paid his dues. 10 years at Grand Valley State in Michigan, dude.
Yeah.
These coaches that come from places like Wisconsin, Whiteville, and Whitewater and all that crap, like Lance Leopold, I think, was at a directional Wisconsin school. You know, because at that level, you have to, you're not just like at LSU, since we're talking about LSU, for example. You got guys that can, all the guys that are interested in your school can play, and many of them that can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to kind of turn away guys.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, at North Greenville, we've been to Tigerville, Phil.
Yeah, we live right down the street essentially. So yeah, there's a little slim pickings around there.
To that campus
in the immediate area.
Man, you got to fight off schools at higher levels like Upstate and probably Upstate Wofford resources. Furman doesn't have baseball anymore.
Well, you got one with a reasonable tradition. 30 miles away.
Yeah.
Ooh, not to mention that. I mean, that has the ability to attract young talent for whatever reason.
Yeah, exactly. But look, man, it's like, Landon Powell. I mean, to me, I'm on the side of a win is a win. He's never slipped. He's won consistently, competed for national championships. That guy can coach. We could talk about the big bad SEC all we want, but you got a guy that's probably going, regardless of what happens at Carolina, probably going to be a Hall of Famer in college baseball. That's won a national championship, that won at Notre Dame in a cold weather environment, that had a tough job at Air Force, in Paul Maneri. But guess what? Didn't hire the right pitching coach by any demonstrable. I mean, there's nothing there's no way the current pitching coach compares to any of them they've had from Tanner to Kingston. None. Can't hold a candle to them before this season started. It was kind of a wish and a prayer. So, what does that tell you? Well, if you surround yourself with the right guys, when you listen to them, what's to say you can't win how you won at one level to the other? And I think, but then the other side of that is, well, we're just a little too big, a little too good to hire the North Greenville coach. And I understand that too. I understand that too, because, I think that the big name hire, and I never called it a caged animal hire. I think Mike Morgan did, or somebody did. But it was a significant hire. It was a low risk hire Maneri. Yeah, I think
on paper.
On paper.
Yeah,
on
right.
paper.
On paper.
The reality hasn't matched up. That happens sometimes.
It does.
I'll never, if you would have told, like Scott Frost in football again, turned down the Gators job. Steve Spurrier's like, I think we should go hire Scott Frost. Shoot.
Right down.
That's when they ended up with Mullen, who they eventually fired anyway. And he'd just gone undefeated at UCF, which is now his job again. Speaking of UCF, Scott Frost is back. And I told Mike kind of thought he was taking Florida, and because Florida better job than Nebraska, all that good stuff. I was like, don't underestimate the spirit of the Huskers. And he's a former Nebraska quarterback. He goes out there. If you'd have told me Scott Frost was not going to win at Nebraska, I'd have said, you're crazy.
Right.
Another person that turned down the Florida football job, Chip Kelly. I thought Chip Kelly going to UCLA, I was like, that guy's going to win. And lo and behold, Chip Kelly's back from the NFL. He's trying to run an NFL offense. He didn't get back to doing what he used to do at Oregon till at points during the playoff this year with Ohio State when he's in place, which was disappointing. That's like Steve Spurrier not running Semi and Mills and all those the fun plays that he calls,
Right.
which he always does, But if you'd have told me that wasn't going to work out, that UCLA would not only not be winning, but be worse for the most part, I wouldn't have believed you. But on paper, it was a fine hire. So you've tried shooting for the moon and throwing a bunch of money at a name. You've tried kind of the mid-major flavor of the week. You've tried to promote the top assistant. None of that's worked, But at the same time, there's a cautionary tale out there with Missouri basketball.
Yeah.
They hired a guy from Southeast Missouri. It was division, Missouri Southern. Kim somebody used to be an assistant there. And that was a disaster. It was a very, very big
did not
disaster.
work. It did not work.
But I think, I think there's two sides to that Landon Powell debate. Skylar Meade, and I didn't, when he was here, obviously John Whittle thinks the world of him, thinks he's a rising star, and took the Troy job. And that's not necessarily the best mid-major job in Alabama.
No.
But they've won and they've kept winning. And he's proven himself there at that level, which is higher than North Greenville. He's up for, he's been mentioned for other jobs. Nope. That wouldn't be an issue either, But I think that's if there would be a change. And if you put a gun to my head and you said, will there be a change? I'd say no. Should there be a change? I'd say yes. But there's opinion there, and then there's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
But something a hire like that, Ben, just to give you credit, that's a great list, and it's realistic. And there'll be people that won't think they can go hire Kevin O'Sullivan or whatever.
Well, yeah, there's always going to be that. We need to go get a proven head coach. Well, we're coming off of that.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, he was out of the game for 5 years. I'm like, yeah, I get that. And then here's one thing. I love a guy who has the ability to do more with less. And both of those names live up to that.
Yeah. And guess who else did more with less? Ray Tanner.
Right. Exactly.
Right. They didn't really start so when they got Reese Havens and Smoke and those they're in the Jamie Bradford era, they really started getting some good recruits. Some of them were in state. Christian Walker was a big time recruit. There were a lot of them in time. But that first team that won 50 games with the Killer Bees and all that, you got some good Brandon Packs, a good JUCO, and they had to kind of start winning before they could go against. Now, when Holbrook was here, and even into the Kingston era, they recruited great players. The recruiting was, Holbrook. The talent was never a big issue,
right
then. But I think that. I think more with less, but I also think this: if you're going to hire somebody, and this was when I wasn't the most fired up person about the Lamont Paris hire, and it's because you look at Kingston, and Illinois State's a ridiculously hard job to win at. Don't get me wrong, and he won, won NCAA tournament in 5 years. Goes to South Florida 2 in 3 years, but he did have a losing season. It was inconsistent. Darren Horn was a hire where Western Kentucky should be. You got to look at where they're at and what are they. Number one, are they consistent? Number two, should they be consistent? Or is that a job that any kind of good season you get is good? Now, if I'd have looked at Kingston's situation at Illinois State, I would be a bit concerned that his NCAA tournament, I believe, was either in year 1 or 2, and then he never got back. I would be concerned about that, like the momentum wise. But I would probably still go, it's freezing cold up there. It's hard to recruit to that school for baseball. There's probably no money. There's probably 200 people there. And he's won. South Florida, it would have made me feel a lot better had he got to South Florida, gone to the tournament all 3 years. Because that's another baseball job where historically, for whatever reason, down in Tampa, I don't know how you don't have a great baseball program in Tampa, but you don't. Right. For whatever reason, before he got there, that was a nice run for him, right? For Mark Kingston. And I think he'll be fine at Creighton. I think that's a job with some history and all that. But, I would have felt more comfortable had it been all 3 years. There's some mid-major coaches in most sports that, like Nate Oates. Nobody knew who Nate Oates was when Bama hired him for basketball. but he was at Buffalo winning. The only thing that hurt him a little bit was he took over for Bobby Hurley, who's done nothing at Arizona State yet, still has a job. Bobby Hurley is kind of on my list. There's about 5 people out there that have the best jobs ever. And
Right.
Bobby Hurley's one of them. Yeah. But so he followed the name, and he's a former high school coach, again, lower level guy, and he's a superstar, but he was consistent at Buffalo. Not a lot of, there wasn't an up and down, or lots of bad seasons, one good one, so you're hot. You go for it. So that's that's what, when I look at mid-major coaches, that's what, consistency. What are you doing relative to how good your program should be? Connections are always nice too, because South Carolina's a unique part of the country. You don't have to always have connections, but it helps. And so we'll see sort of what happens. Bruins like, where's Lane Kiffin when you need him to throw a clipboard? Nana Sports chat box. I'm going to go through, catch up the chat box, Phil, and then
we'll catch the chat. Yeah.
Clint says, I'm on board with that, Ben. I could see either being a Beamer type of hire. And don't think just because Shane Beamer's doing well in football either that you need a carbon copy of that either.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that
the school is taking some chances on some guys. But yeah, I think that would be good. I'm going to be really uncomfortable using the word young, just because of the age of the coach that we're in theory here on the show already replacing.
No, I think young is not necessarily the thing, but relatability, I think, is the term that people need to be using. Do they have the ability to be relatable to the current crop of players? I think you don't have to be young for that to be true.
I think the word too, runway, would be good, and that's an age thing. Do you have the runway to since we're talking about airplanes, Phil, to get the jets going, to roll it and get the plane off the ground? Short runway right now. Krager says, I think the players are mad and trying to embarrass the coach. I don't think the players are happy.
Yeah, right.
I don't know about intentionally tanking. That's really like travel ball, travel ball kids. You saw the South Park where they're both trying to lose.
Yeah. And you're not a very good prospect in the portal if your intent is to leave, if your stats suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's harder to get out that way.
Yeah. You think that keeps some guys locked in. I don't know. I just think, I think they got issues. Ben says, I lean towards Meade because he has proven D1 success, but both would be great hires. Nobody knows the program better than Landon. Wayne says that these young players know Palmineri's past as far as winning. Yeah, some of them do. Most of them are baseball guys. I think it's been shocking to a lot of the players, some things that have happened as well. I'm not saying these guys didn't give him a chance, because that's not true either.
Right.
It's not like they sat here and went, God, we really miss Mark Kingston.
Yeah.
The guy they really most of them came here to play for was Monty Lee, and he's still on staff.
Right.
So,
and the guy truly that brought in and was successful in landing some of these guys that we have a lot of hope for their development in the future, that you're like, man, if we could hold on to a couple of these guys, and most of them are about to come here.
They're about to walk out the door.
And they're about to leave. Right. Yeah.
Speaking of Monty, Kitty says, I hope I'm not the only one who thinks that Monty Lee would have a better shot. Monty Lee would have a better shot. I thought the original plan was to have Lee replace the current guy when he steps down. Landed is needed in South Carolina too. Well, that was kind of an unspoken deal. Frankly, I think if Monty Lee were coaching this team and Matt Williams were the pitching coach, and I don't think there's anybody on the roster they wouldn't have been able to get or have, and maybe they could have gotten some of those guys they didn't get because they didn't have a head coach. I can't see it being this bad. I don't know much what to say other than that. Monty Lee never had a season this bad as a head coach.
No,
ever. No. Neither has Paul Mainieri, for that matter. But we'll see.
Yeah, but then you're like, dollars per loss would have been a little different between those two.
Ben says Landon's such a risk, though. Meads averaged 39 wins and was an elite assistant at the Big Ten and SEC. It's a massive advantage over someone coming from D2, which is just so different from Power 5. Yes and no, Ben, but coaching's coaching. And those guys at those lower levels can out-coach
Again,
anybody. Yeah.
more
I
with
think,
less, right? I mean, if you're
in-
winning at that level, then they're like, you're the guy they're looking at, right? To make a step to the next level. So
like
I don't think for going from D2 to D1, specifically when you're talking about baseball, is say as big a stretch as it is hiring a head football coach from, Montana State to run a Power 4 program.
to run a
right?
program. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, because you're talking about in football now with the kind of head coaches have so much going on, man.
Right. Yeah.
But play callers from lower levels, I would take. All right, and this is nothing against Shane Beamer and who he's hired. Okay, so please don't think that I'm criticizing Loggins or Shula. Okay, I would take the best FCS D2. As long as the scheme wasn't something like triple option, like I'm not going
Yeah, right.
a service academy. I would take that or the best high school offensive coach over anybody from the NFL except for Andy Reid. Seriously.
Yeah.
No.
I get it. Yeah.
Up there, it's like you're not really going to you're not really going to out talent anybody in the NFL. Sometimes you do, but you really have to sit there and play within the structure and stuff because you'll get beat otherwise. People are too fast. At the high school level, some years you may have at lower level colleges, especially now with the portal, some years you may have this, some years you may have that, some years you may have this. So, and look, maybe in baseball, that's not that way. You have a guy at Georgia right now who's winning bigger than we thought, who was the pitching coach for the Minnesota Twins. So maybe baseball, it doesn't work that way. I don't know. You guys tell me. But yeah, I'm with you, Ben. There's two sides to that. I kind of lean more towards, I don't care that he's at North Greenville. But I also, Skylar Meade would be fine with me too. Kenny said, I think Landon would be best suited as an analyst or a guy on staff working with the catchers to start out and gets a shot to work his way up. I don't know about that, Kenny. Not a guy that's won championships as a head coach.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
It's not that big of a gap from D2 to. I mean, we all love the SEC. An assistant head coach or something, hitting coach maybe, but not as like a.
And I don't think it would be an issue of having to like placate Landon's ego either, right? Like, I mean, he knows what he got.
He's a Hall of Famer at the
right.
program.
Yeah.
I wish, and guess what? All this screws up too is Jamie Bradford and me, trying to go sell donuts and coffee to build a Hall of Fame in the outfield like we wanted to.
Right.
On a baseball Hall of Fame. Kicks this down the road.
Yeah, that's right. We're just extending the plans there.
Yeah, you just need butts in the seats at this point. Russell says they don't seem to have that win anyway mentality. It used to be the battle cry. That has slowly eroded through the years. It's been back a couple times here and there, but the magic is gone, my friend.
That's right. The thrill is gone.
Ben talks about Beamer. Beamer had a ton of experience in Power 5. I think he fits more than me. I don't know that experience because there's so many bad assistant coaches at this level that end up getting coaching jobs and they get fired quick. And I'm looking at it like Ryan Walters, who at Purdue goes, we just won the division here in the Big Ten for the first time ever with Jeff Brom, and he wants to go home to Louisville, and he's an offensive genius. Let's go hire Illinois' defensive coordinator and roll. 2 years later, we're firing Ryan Walters and hiring Barry Odom. I mean, who? There's so many bad assistants that the guys at the lower levels can coach circles around. But again, that's football. So maybe I'm not. Clint says Landon and Chadwell, valid comparison. I don't know enough about Landon Powell's baseball philosophy to where if he would be, there's nothing remarkable about Jamie Chadwell as a head coach, except that he wins
Right.
at places, lower level places, and his offense. I mean, he's a system guy. But Clint, where did Jamie Chadwell start winning? North Greenville.
There is a parallel.
Jay Frew says, can we all agree it's time for a change? I agree. I never thought I would. If you'd have told me in the midst of this awesome basketball season that was beating the crap out of us on a daily basis, having to talk about it this past season, and if you'd have told me, hey, JC, you're going to want the coach gone by the end of the year, I'd have said, you're a demon. You're not real.
That's right.
You don't exist. Get out of my head. You're just teasing me. There's no teasing. Stop teasing me.
Yeah, I mean, and even like mid-season, I'm like, listen, there's no reason to throw the whole thing out, listen, see how it is. But that's the difference. Like, there's a point in the Carolina basketball season where it's like, this team is just outmatched almost every time they hit the court. And where they are having success, they are out scheming them and doing the right things and playing within the system. But you know what? They're still freaking fighting, right? I mean, it's like, could still see that will and want to, with limited exception in the basketball season. What you're not seeing, at least from my untrained eye, looks like that will and want to are non-existent right now, especially over the last like 3 or 4 games. Just like, where is that? What happened? Where did Alex's hope go?
There's no hope. And what kind of got me curious and asking questions and check was when I found out how much money they spent on this roster, because we kind of handled it the last 2 years, and I know how much we spent, and they got to a super regional and a regional, and I know prices have gone up, but there's a lot of wasted money. I'll just say that.
But listen, you got 3 years worth of data now as out in about 7 games, in my opinion, that you're going to be able to put a dollar amount on every loss. And if you were to do that, you're going to be very mad.
Yeah, it was awful. Kenny says it's going to be interesting how many base players on this baseball team will be on next year's team. Very few.
Yeah, it'll be
very few.
You're going to hardly recognize some of these names.
Yeah. And then Brent asked a financial question. You spent good money on baseball this past year. If you have 20 players hit the portal, you're going to be able to afford 20 new ones that will be difference makers. I don't know that you need 9 and 11. What's that? 11 pitchers, and or if you say throw a DH in there, you want 10 pitchers that are different. I don't think anybody's signing 20 difference makers.
No.
And it may be, Bruin, maybe I'm defining a difference maker to me is like Lenore Sellers. Or okay, so who would be a difference maker on this baseball team? Ethan Petrie.
Nathan Hall.
I'll give you Nathan Hall.
And Nathan Hall. Like, I've been impressed with what I've seen out of Hall all season. Now, do I agree with how he was used all season? No. As soon as you found out he was like your second best hitter, I don't know. Maybe he should have been the guy protecting Petrie, and he's not. Yeah, and then roll through leadoff guys.
How about a guy that gets on base?
Yeah, right.
That has a good eye and get a walk anyway.
Yeah, I mean, on base percentage pretty important at that number 1 hole, JC.
And dude, you remember when Otis Nixon used to lead off for the Braves?
Yeah.
Otis Nixon, I mean, he couldn't hit it out of the infield, he's not a power hitter, but guess what? He could run and he'd walk. And guess what did he do? To quote Moneyball, Phil, he
got on base.
Right. Yeah. I don't understand that at all. If you don't have a power team, and you admittedly say that, and then you're upset with walks, and South Carolina probably leads the United States of America and the whole Western Hemisphere in hitting into double plays all season. I mean, maybe walks aren't so bad.
I mean, how many runs did Carolina plate last year that originated with them being on the base pads from either a walk or a hit by pitch? Like that was a theme all last season. And this year, it's not. The strikeout numbers are down. Okay, well,
Who cares?
You keep, your fielder's choice numbers are up. Okay, there you go. There's the counter to that.
How about the double plays?
Yeah.
I mean, those, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah, right.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're not pretending to be baseball experts here.
No.
I did have some baseball cards back in the day. I wish I held on to, like a Nolan Ryan one from the Astros.
Yeah, I got a couple of them in here, man. Yeah,
crazy. Clint says, I wonder how many guys we will take in the portal over under 12. There's going to be more open spots than 12. Now, I don't know. They're all coming from the portal.
No. There's a couple of JUCO guys I think interested, right?
Over.
Over. Yeah, I'm going over too. Yeah, good call, Bruin.
Jay Fruit says, pull the plug. As I said in Rock before, throw the damn towel.
Throw the damn towel.
If I could get along and we could get along and maybe all of us could get along in the burning heart. Dude, that was a banger of a soundtrack, Rocky IV.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude, love it. Kenny says has to be over. At least 15 are hopping in. I'm curious how the staff feels about freshmen. I think there'll be a couple of players that are familiar names that will be back. I don't. Jay Frumaneri says, if you stop this fight, I'll kill you. Our defense was great last night. We got a safety. Yeah, you did. 22 to 2.
That's right. Yeah.
I think that was that was 3-2. Auburn played a football game one time with Mississippi State during the Tuberville and Sylvester Croom era.
Yes, that's right. Makes sense.
The best offensive performance ever. They won 3-2 at Mississippi State.
Oh, my snarky comment, the first thing that came to my mind, I was like, 24-2. Is that the equation of how many new guys you're going to need on this team next year that you keep talking about having to get better players?
Robert says, why do you think Ray Tanner hired him? Everybody wanted a big name.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you could sit there and I mean, you can't sit there and absolve Ray Tanner of all credit. I mean, he's got to take the L.
Right.
I mean, he's the AD. He hired him. The buck stops with him. But as far as the thought process goes, I don't know how you look at the resume, interview the guy, and then stuff like this starts happening.
Yeah. I mean, nobody's going to sit here and say Ray made the best hire he could.
Yeah. And people can talk about, he hired his buddy or whatever. They were acquaintances. It's not like they went fishing together.
Right.
I mean, I'll tell you, he's better friends with folks like Stuart Lake and Chad Holbrook and, the guys like that. And I mean, it's not like they were, locking arms in arms like Laverne and Shirley. We're going to do it. Mm-hmm. They weren't Laverne. Everyone else he went after said no. I don't know who else he went after, Ben. They weren't going to hire the guy from Duke, and his name was that. They weren't going to hire him, nor the guy from Wake Forest, and they didn't say no.
No, Elander either. I don't think was really.
Elander was just the fans.
Yeah, that was
all. Now maybe should there maybe have been a call? Yeah, I mean, I was told, but you always hear that from programs that are rolling. Oh, our coach wouldn't leave for your job. He's an assistant.
Right. Yeah.
He's an assistant, and assistant baseball coaches make nothing.
Yeah. Right. You're looking at
doubling your salary,
a digit increase in pay,
a nice buyout.
Yeah.
And it's an SEC job that's won a national championship. He probably would have listened.
Yeah. Right.
But the fans kind of just wanted him with flavor of the week or whatever. I don't know. He has some ties to TCU. He's a TCU grad. Probably knows who Jeremiah Donati is.
Yeah.
Clint says, seems like it was a lazy, low-hanging fruit type of hire for Ray. Probably thought it was a safe bet. Boy, it wasn't lazy. I mean, Tanner, a lot of people accuse him of making lazy hires. Or now low-hanging fruit, possibly. Will Muschamp was not a lazy hire. He knew he was going to take a lot of crap for it.
Yeah.
And frankly, I'm glad he hired Will over what else was available and willing to take the job, including Lincoln Riley, because Lincoln Riley would have been an abject disaster here. There would have been there was less than no talent. There would have been no talent. He couldn't recruit.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing that I think people get
know.
real lost on with Will Muschamp is like that was not a bare cupboard when Beamer rolled in from a talent perspective.
Now, I think Will Muschamp's, I don't want to get into all this today.
No, right. Yeah.
Somebody requested the topic this summer, Phil. I think Will Muschamp's flaw is he number one, you replace Urban Meyer at Florida, nobody's going to be patient. You replace Steve Spurrier at South Carolina, nobody's going to be patient.
Yeah.
You're the guy that followed the guy in both instances. But in both instances, Urban Meyer left a severe locker room problem as it relates to character. And that's all come out in the wash since then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've
it's
all
very well documented and
that.
we've watched the shows and
And Muschamp cleaned it up. Now, not winning enough and getting fired, there's football decisions, in-game decisions, offensive decisions that he's made through the years that I bet he wishes he had back. But he left, and Swamp Donkey wins 2 divisions back-to-back with what he left. So South Carolina, things started off a lot better at South Carolina than they did at Florida. He was recruiting, and maybe this is his thing. I think there were certain things about the job that he never adjusted to because he had been at places that sort of, I don't want to say recruit themselves, but where you get in to recruiting battles with the best of the best and you win your share, you're going to stock your roster. South Carolina, he did a good job of this. He had to go kind of evaluate and get guys in. They didn't win enough, largely because of offense and mistakes made there. And I don't know what happened to defenses last year. Nobody played defense that season. But if you look at the NFL draft picks, Beamer's got 17 of them. I think 12 were recruited by Will Muschamp. So compared to where, look at the draft picks Muschamp had when he first got there. I think it was like none.
Yeah. How about none?
No. He had to play freshman. So I look back on that time and, it's time to he wasn't going to get the benefit of it. That was an unpopular hire.
Right.
But I think in both jobs he had, he served a purpose. And people shouldn't hate him. I mean, good God, the guy tweeted at Clyde Wren when they named the gate after Clyde Wren, and some adult children out there just started profanity and all this other stuff. I mean, dude, the only coach that's gotten fired from here that deserves profanity is Brad Scott.
It's Brad Scott, right? Exactly.
I mean, you want to cuss at him, that's fine. Muschamp left and didn't have anything bad to say. So, but I didn't think this was a lazy hire, Clint. I thought this was a hey, look, this is what's worked here before. Everybody there's people around Carolina that are obsessed with big names, and they don't think anybody's good unless they've done something somewhere else that everybody can go yay about. Right. And Paul Manier's always been a good baseball coach. I don't think Ray Tanner saw this coming.
No.
But at the same time, you can't just say, oh, well, it's not his fault, because you gotta own your track record. And you can't say that any of the 3 baseball hires have been super successful. And I mean, gosh, you hire a guy that's got a national championship to his name and the program bottoms out. It's never been this bad.
Yeah.
Not since it's not been this bad, Phil, since the 70s, before they hired Bobby Richardson, when they had an assistant football coach coaching the team. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing too. It was like, it's like he's got a proven track record of being able to build a program like LSU up into a national power, and then or to get it back to where it is. Well, the times are a little different, and maybe some people overestimated his abilities. Maybe even Coach Maneri overestimated his abilities to maneuver in this current state of things. I mean, he's indicated that he might be a little over his head right now in some of the public comments he makes, which is why that really drives me crazy, because it was like, you can't say that shit. You just can't, not publicly. No, you can tell people inside, but you can't Say it out loud.
The always intelligent John Edward. I don't think you can define lazy hire, John Edward. How about that? I don't think you're smart enough to do that. It was a lazy. What was lazy about it?
What was lazy, right?
If it were a lazy hire, the search would have been done in 2 days. And the first phone call he made, and it would have been over. Instead, the thing went too long. And Ben shed some facts here. I know for a fact Godwin was his first choice, but he'll never leave ECU. Yeah, that's the thing with him.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to leave East Carolina.
No.
Clint says if Godwin got elected, I mean, and I'm not saying now, was it a good hire? No. But let's not throw terms like lazy out there, because all that does is produce a false narrative about Ray Tanner. And he's got to own the bad hire, right? You got to own all of them. And he would, but there's these very unfair and wrong and inaccurate caricatures of him and his time as the AD here that are just insane.
Yeah, I mean,
and when you say lazy, that just means like he doesn't care. I mean, come on, there's a difference between lazy hire and bad hire, and by all measurables, this is a bad hire. And you're not gonna. I mean, it's going to take a big turnaround for it not to be. But that's the thing there. So I'll defend kind of the unfair personal attacks, but can't defend the hire. Clint says if Godwin got elected president, he'd turn it down to stay in Greenville, North Carolina. Once Eastern North Carolina, where I once ran over a cat and went to a tremendous strip club in Goldsboro on a work trip.
Once that gets in you,
once that gets in your blood, it's hard to. Never mind when the every 5-year flood comes.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know what Godwin's thinking of there, but good for him, man.
Kreger says he's cooking chicken tetrazzini for his mom.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there you go.
Ben says had the best burrito in a while last week in Rock Hill, a place called Dank Burrito. I bet if someplace I would eat it.
I would. That would totally get me to go eat a burrito there. Like, all right.
Clint says my wife's a big fan of Coronas. Coronas is tasty. Coronas Monterey, and then I know we ordered from that place over on across from Stacks. That was the Mexican place we ordered DoorDash from that day. I can't remember what it's called.
Gosh, I'm trying to remember.
Clint says catchers make good coaches. Jay Frew says Jeremiah Donati has gotten so many tweets. Admittedly, I was one of those. He knows.
Yeah.
Adam says Carry-On's back at second today. Well, there you go.
Look at that.
Welcome back.
Here today, gone tomorrow.
Clint says this is great. I love
it.
But
hold on. No, wait. Adam, is he going to be there for both games?
Probably not.
No.
He'll go 5 for 5 with a couple of dingers. And,
5 for 5, but he'll have a ball bounce off his glove and nope.
Craig points out in the chat box, the staff hadn't smiled one time all season. I haven't seen a lot of smiles.
There's not a lot of smiles going
Players have from time to time. Now, this Clint, this may be the best Nana's Porch chat box as far as just everything. This is everything. Okay.
Yeah, this is all this is.
From the Nana's Porch chat box, our man Clint, whose wife loves Coronas. Man, it's gonna make me want to order Mexican for lunch.
I know.
I don't need to be doing this.
I know.
Craig, they're tanking on purpose so they can move the team to Miami. Like Major League. Hey, I'll take Lou Brown right now.
Yeah, right.
Hello. I got a guy on the other line wants some white walls. Let me think.
Hold on.
All right, everyone gather around. Time for a game. It's either and Kreger follows right up.
Yeah.
Otis Nixon did more coke than Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, you know what? But he was on base.
But he got on base. And then Russell Craig, have you ever heard the rumor of how Stevie ingested her coke? Clint says, just looked it up, Russell. Kind of regret that. Me too. Russell says, what is the interview process like for that job?
Which one?
Otis Nixon?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
Ben says it would have been Monty Lee if he was going to make the lazy hire, and that would have been the criticism.
It really would, because that would have been the entire narrative. Preseason. Right?
Although I think it would have been a demonstrably better season.
Yeah, more familiarity with the entire staff and attracted some of the guys that we've enjoyed watching. That's all I'm going to say there.
Ben says the Godwin's from Greenville, North Carolina, played at ECU, coached, and is now an ECU. Man, is as Eastern North Carolina as it gets. Yeah, and look.
Yeah.
East Carolina's got a lot of fans. I mean, it's also a legendary party school, and Sandra Bullock went there.
It is, and you're the biggest thing in the middle of nowhere out there after you get past, the research.
I've always thought that, if the SEC and colleges were smart, probably if they were more run by sports people and not school presidents who were snobs and all that. I always thought if you wanted to stick it to the Tar Heel group and the Tobacco Road cabal in that state, if you're the SEC, invite East Carolina into the league.
Give them the resources.
Well, they have a bigger fan. Their fan base is just as big as Mississippi State's or Ole Miss or Vandy's.
True.
They have a 56,000 seat stadium. They have alums all over the state of North Carolina. So their games would be on TV, and you'd have an SEC program in there in football and baseball to box them out. They would, and their admission standards, when those mattered, they're not exactly high,
Right. Weren't the most rigorous.
And then you give them money. Arg. Phil. Arg.
And who wouldn't want a pirate, right? And that is probably the most aptly mascotted school in all the nation, right? Because that's what they are out there.
Pirates.
They're the pirates.
They're sailing the seas.
That's right.
I didn't mean to make another flood right now. Oh, yeah. Ben says the Tar Heel fans would lose their ever-loving minds.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
ECU to the SEC.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. I mean, that would.
Because it's that crowd that, that they can't even be in the ACC, which is like really silly, but whatever.
And unlike, so there's attractive little schools, and then we'll get to a double break, Phil, and bring it back and cut it.
Yeah.
There's attractive little schools out there. UCF, USF always has been, they've got 60,000 students or whatever. But those schools didn't even start football along with FAU and the Florida. They didn't start football until like the 90s.
Yeah.
ECU has been playing football since I've been alive. they've been, and they've built a fan base, and they've been the East Carolina Pirates have been a thing for a long, long time. And, like I said, they have a 56,000 seat stadium. It's bigger than Vandy's, about the size of Mississippi State. They have a fan base, and a lot of alums. I mean, they're not located in a major area, but guess what? Athens, Georgia is not a major area either.
Right.
But what's it near? Atlanta. Oxford is not a major area. What's it near? Memphis. I mean, come on. So anyway, Pat Dye coached at East Carolina. But yeah, it's always been a good job, man. Art Baker coached up there. I remember those teams. Clint said, man, JC off the top rope on JEK. Nah, just, that's more toward the lazy thing. But, I was explaining why I was politely explaining why I wouldn't necessarily call it lazy, because I think there's a difference between lazy and bad. Right. Lazy, as Ben pointed out, probably would have been just promoting from within. That's kind of what happens. But, usually internal promotions are either lazy. They're one of three things: lazy, obvious, like when Mike Bellotti left and Chip Kelly got the Oregon football job.
Yeah, right.
Or everybody's turned it down.
Yeah, that's right. Or last resort.
Last resort. Like I think, lazy, obvious, or last resort. And a lot of times those internal promotions either work out swimmingly or not at all.
Yeah.
I know one in the upstates worked out pretty well back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I wasn't trying to be ugly to JEK, but
no, it's
just don't, when I'm trying to make a point, don't just emphatically come back and, well, it is lazy. Well, explain why then.
No, your take is lazy. How about
don't be like Congress and, you know, it's a yes or no question. I'm reclaiming my time.
John Edward reclaims his time.
I'm reclaiming my time. The poor purple-haired lady that's a representative from the 80-year-old purple-haired lady.
Yes.
Representative from Connecticut.
The one who's like doing TikToks and stuff like that.
She got lost mid-question to Kash Patel the other day.
All right, yeah, they get to meandering.
That's not the person you want to get. And to his credit, the FBI director was patient and gracious because she just kind of was like, but and that purple hair, and I'm like, man, come on, you're 80 years old. Let's grow up a little bit. Speaking of being almost 80 or 70 and growing up and reclaiming your youth, some people dye their hair purple. Some people go get a 24-year-old girlfriend and make her your secretary. I don't think that's weird. I think it's kind of pimp. We're going to talk about it after this double break right here on the show on a Friday.
Oh, man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
Happy New Year from the Barndominium Company, where they are building dream homes in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their turnkey process can be custom designed and takes 6 months on average. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. Thebarndominiumco.com. Gamecock owned and operated.
Welcome to Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions. Basement crawl space encapsulation designed for your specific needs. Your crawl space can be susceptible to all sorts of issues, including moisture buildup, mold growth, and structural damage if not cared for properly. Let our trained experts provide basement crawl space encapsulation solutions to protect your home, improve air quality, and enhance energy efficiency. Schedule your consultation today for a safer, healthier space at dryspacecs.com. Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions, proud supporters of your South Carolina Gamecocks.
Remarkable, 5-star, sensational. These are just some of the terms used to describe nationally renowned chef William Turner out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Originally from Georgetown, South Carolina, and a diehard Gamecocks fan, Chef Will made his way out west and has served parties from every state and many countries from across the globe. If you're in Arizona or have plans elsewhere, visit chefwilliamturner.com to inquire about private events and more. From MLB to NFL, the chef has served everyone. He's won all the awards, done all the press. There's a reason for that. Food from every culture, all of it first class. ChefWilliamTurner.com and Chef Will Turner on socials. You won't believe what you see. You really won't believe how it tastes.
Charleston Fitness Equipment is keeping South Carolina in shape. Clients have come from all over the Palmetto State to find that one piece of equipment that they enjoy that keeps them looking and feeling good. Whether it's a home rower, treadmill, elliptical, free weights, a home gym, or something else, Charleston Fitness Equipment keeps the mirror smiling back at you. Get in shape like the Gamecocks do. Visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com. Gamecock owned and operated and proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
We got started in 1979. Because we're a manufacturer, we're able to control our costs. That's why we like to manufacture as much of the product as we can, because in our factory stores we can offer a competitive edge over other people around the country. When people come into one of our Palm Casuals, it's like they're buying their car at Detroit. They're going right to the factory and buying their car.
30-day money-back guarantee. That's a big deal with us. I mean, we give 30 days to do anything. I mean, return it, change it, get a different color, get your money back.
When you pull into a store and it says Palm Casual, you know you're at a factory store.
All right, welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the show. Sorry about the morning show earlier today. Jamie had something come up. So did his two guests. We probably would have been a little earlier with you, being Phil, but then I had to go take my wife, take a phone call for a couple of hours. This was a good phone call, but sometimes when that happens, I get behind. And so we had a noon start. Everything will be back to normal. It's been kind of a cattywampus week, I know, with the show not being earlier this week, and there was a coffee missing there, but it's going to happen in the off season. You don't want it to happen during the season, but life comes up. That's why we try to give you guys more in case we miss a day, right? And so just wanted to say a couple of announcements here. First of all, Stephen Panis, if you know him, the author of Walk On, of course, his son was tragically killed when he was supposed to walk on for the football team at Carolina. He's a big Gamecock. Gives the Stephen Panis Memorial Walk On Scholarship Fund. Just got this in. Walk On, his novel, which you can purchase on Amazon, was selected as a 2025 category finalist in the Eric Hoffer Book Award. The Eric Hoffer Book Award honors the memory of the great American philosopher Eric Hoffer by highlighting salient writing as well as the independent spirit of small publishers. Since its inception, the Hoffer has become one of the largest international book awards for small academic and independent presses. You won't meet many better people and that care about their fellow man, but also are continuous learners and teachers of life than Stephen Panis. He's one of my favorite people, and just want to give a big shout out to him. Also, would like to remind everyone I was on coffee today. I didn't know if it was Selection Sunday for softball or what, but it is. So Sunday, Mother's Day at 7 p.m. That's Selection Sunday for the softball team. They're going to the tournament. They're probably going to play the first round at home. Not sure if they'll be a national seed or not. So did want to mention that. Also want to mention again, Tailgate Talks this week with Steven Garcia and Pat DeMarco, two of the best. Love listening to those guys, two of the greatest. Of course, they're frequents on the show during the season. And John Strickland, another frequent on Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show and the show, and a good friend of mine is their guest this week. It's a great conversation. You can get that on Gamecocks Plus if you want to watch the video version. The audio version, of course, is on podcast versions on the Chief Sports app. Also want to invite everybody to go to their YouTube channel, and it's Tailgate Talks 547, I believe, and go subscribe to it. It's free, and you can watch it on YouTube as well. I believe those are the announcements. Remember in school, the announcements, you'd always kind of start feeling good when you heard the intercom pick up, and it's like, attention students and teachers, it's your afternoon announcements. Blah, 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 blah. It was like at 2:56. You get out at 3. You're just like, I miss this. Maybe we should start doing that on the show. There are some days I am looking forward to getting off the air, but not today. So this Bill Belichick thing, folks, I keep telling, I was asked about it. I was on with Barry Sanderson, and from Tuscaloosa every Thursday. I've been doing that for 10 years, every Thursday. Wimp and Barry. And by the way, say a little prayer for Barry. He lost his mom last week, right here before Mother's Day. Wimp's wife. So that's sad. But they got back and I did the show and he asked me about this Bill. But first thing, Bill Belichick. And I was like, it's at the top of the list of things I don't care about. I don't care. I mean, somebody explained to me why. And we have some Nana Sports chat box feedback on it. Why is this such a big deal? Why do you have former NFL players who sometimes can't put together? I mean, probably need to learn a little more about. I mean, I don't want to be too critical. Why are they mentioning that they feel bad for Belichick? Why is somebody out there saying North Carolina should fire him? He's got a girlfriend, guys and gals. Am I missing something? I understand she's 24 years old. And I understand she doesn't know anything about anything as far as how to be a secretary, basically, or a PR person for a famous football coach that's 72 and just so happens to be your boyfriend. I never got to say, and look, if it wasn't Bill Belichick, like if this were Lou Holtz, right? There is a funny meme out there from Babylon B that says she left Belichick for Holtz. That's wrong. But like Lou Holtz basically was cared about PR, cared about his appearance. He did a lot of TV, obviously. A guy that was all into that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden you see a 24-year-old come along and Coach goes, I don't know about what a real guy. And Holtz just kind of went with it. You would feel a little weird about it because Lou Holtz is a very he's a good actor, good. Let's not say actor, that performer. All right. Bill Belichick does not care. When at any point during Bill Belichick's Hall of Fame career has he seemed like a guy that gave a fiddler's foo about PR? Or a book tour or any of that. He probably had to be taught into writing the book. And this is not because there's some people acting like this young person has gotten their claws into him and controlling him. And I understand it. So then this Pablo Torre guy who works for Dan Lebitard's, I guess, Meadowlark Media, used to be with ESPN. He's definitely got certain political leans.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if this has anything to do with it or not. But he's investigating this lady like she deserves to be, like she's done something horrible. I'm like, listen, there's a lot. Let me just explain something to Pablo and everybody else about life. JC Shurburtt about life. I don't know everything about everything, but I know a little bit about life, Phil. Let me just explain something about life. There are freaks out there that have certain, dare we say, preferences when it comes to their private lives. There's things there is such a thing as chubby chasing females that like big guys, right? There's such a thing as there's just different preferences, right?
That's right. Well, everybody's got their own preference.
Tomato, you got tomato.
Yeah,
I mean, those of us that are sane just go for the person, right? At this age. And I'm not saying that most of us, of us, but we all have our little preferences. Like I'm not a blonde guy. I'm more of a short brown-haired girl guy. That's been kind of, if you look at my dating life and who I've married, short brown-haired girls. That's my preference. Not to say I've never dated a blonde or been into one. When I say into one, I mean like them, not not literally. As I to say it, I think it's anybody else. So different people have different preferences. She dated a senior citizen before she dated Belichick.
Yeah, he's not the first.
There are granddaddy issues there, obviously. Maybe she's an old soul. I don't know. Why are we acting like with as much weird shit as in our that we try to normalize these days in that category? Why are we sitting there going, well, 72-24? She's trying to control him.
May December has been a thing a hell of a lot longer than either of those two have been around.
On top of that, I mean, all right. So, do you think back in the day, the 72-year-old king of England didn't have a 24-year-old wife, or the emperor, or wherever? Hell, in some countries, it still happens that way.
Yeah, right.
You think how old do you think Kim Jong-un's wives are? I hope I don't get assassinated.
That's right.
How about all those Saudi princes?
Go Google
How
Grover
old are their
Cleveland.
wives? Grover Cleveland. Yeah.
Go
Hell yeah.
Google Grover Cleveland. They're a little closer to home.
Why is this got everybody up in arms? Is it because you know, with his, you know, why is there a reporter, or why is there a reporter that's out there trying to dig up crap about this girl? Yeah, I don't think she's probably not a very good person. She's a little, and she's got some freaky things, right, about her.
Yeah, she, you know, I mean, whatever. You never know. We're not here kink shaming or anything. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not either. Yeah, I mean, but you know,
know.
Ben says, from what I understand, it's pretty much the fact that she's been rude to some of the administration, and they don't like her. But she's 24. She's a Zoomer. They're all rude. Like my stepkids, if they lived in the South and they were around people like my mom's age a lot, I mean, it's not, they don't mean anything by it. It's just, there's a lot of like, hey, dude, what? Well, we know that didn't happen in my house.
Yeah, I mean,
Phil's laughing like, oh no, not happened to mine either. You know,
what?
But a lot of kids they communicate differently because they've been connected to their phones like the Matrix. It's like the Matrix their whole lives.
I mean, and listen, how well did you think, you know, a guy like Bubba, what's his name, is the athletic director, is going to put up with, you know, basically someone the age of a co-ed is going to talk back to him? He's probably not going to handle that very well. Probably not going to be very responsive to it.
Well, but as long as but if it's Bill Belichick's girlfriend, what are you going to tell Bill Belichick?
What are you going to do? Right.
Nothing.
You hired him. You knew this was a package deal, I'm sure.
And you're like, and like, I'll say this too. She's also never done this before. And she's obviously got some confidence about her, you know? I mean, I would think. But if you know anything about young people, when I was 24, I was just kind of starting out in my career. I didn't know anything about anything. A little abrasive. You know why? Because I was unsure of myself. And
it's a defense mechanism.
It's a defense mechanism, especially when you're dealing in a professional deal like that. Bruin says, don't let left-sided Gamecock Twitter hear this. Pitchforks will come out. JC supports perverts. No, I just said to each its own, and I don't know of anybody on the left that needs to talk about anything like that. Like, come on, perverts, what are you talking? I mean, are they saying that she's a I don't know. I'm very, if you want to talk politics, I'm very libertarian. I don't care what you do and with who. You know, I think there's some things that are not appropriate for children.
Right. Is it hurting me? No. Is it hurting you?
Me? No. I don't.
Is it hurting anybody else? No.
Doesn't
matter.
Keep it away from the kids and keeping it, you know. But I don't care if I see it. I don't want all these people to go, oh God, two dudes are holding hands, or this guy married his mule. If you want to marry your mule, I don't care. It's America. It's a free country. That's between you and the mule and God. And I personally don't know if even God may not, you know, it may not be something he's all that concerned about. You know, I just don't understand it. But Ben says Bubba Cunningham was apparently pressured into hiring in the first place. A lot of UNC board politics went into Bill landing there. Bubba apparently wanted Summerall. It's interesting, Ben. I don't know that Summerall would have taken the job. Maybe he would have. I think he's waiting on the other blue school that plays basketball because that's his album. But maybe he would have. That would have been fine with me. I think having a good, competent coach at Kentucky hurts Carolina a lot more than North Carolina because although you recruit against North Carolina, you play Kentucky every year, and Kentucky, you know, they're always going to kind of have this roster deal where they're going to have to kind of go find talent and evaluate and develop, and no matter if it's 9 games, 8 games, stick it in the oven and bake it games, it doesn't matter. Kentucky's on the schedule for South Carolina. And, it's better if they don't have a good coach, because you're probably going to beat them a bunch. Streak's already back up to 3, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, turn that one around pretty quick.
But yeah, the UNC board situation, what's interesting about that too is in North Carolina, you have the same setup in Georgia. You have a board of regents that controls everybody.
All the states.
The North Carolina system.
Yeah.
Georgia does the same thing. So Chapel Hill, the Chapel Hill board is the one that got kind of flogged for it by the bigger board, which has a lot of NC State people. Pruitt says, I beg to find someone who identifies as a dog or a car. I just need that interaction in my life. I know, and I don't care. I don't care. I feel like Ricky Gervais. I don't care. If you can do whatever. People are people, and people are freaky sometimes.
People are weird. We're all weird.
I know the chick is a little bit. I know Jordan's probably a little bit abrasive. I know it's probably unsettling to some to see someone with that big of an age difference together. But like I said, she's done it before, and he's a lucky guy. If I'm Bill Belichick, I have more money than I can spend. I'm basically like Rodney Dangerfield going back to school. And I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Phil? So you're Bill Belichick. You're chilling, going to the art museum a couple of years, or going on the flight. And that's another, the rumors about how they met are kind of ridiculous too.
Right. Yeah.
and again, I would be skeptical myself had she not just broken up with a 69-year-old. There's a pattern here, people. And, so I go back and I look at it, and, they met on, you're sitting there like, hey, I'm Bill Belichick. Yeah. Nobody in the Falcons wouldn't hire me. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. But so say you're a little kazoo from the Flintstones, the alien.
Yes.
And you're up and saying, hey, dum-dum. And you're like, hey, dum-dum, guess what? In 13 months, you're going to be coaching again. The Cardinals, I don't know. No, in college. College. Where we're at. North Carolina. My dad used to coach there. The Tar Heels, right? Yeah. Okay. It's a nice golf day. It's got a nice place down there. Let me call Nick. And then, guess what, too, dum-dum? You're going to be dating a 24-year-old, and this is what she looks like. Life's looking up for the old Billster, huh?
I mean, how much better are things at North Carolina that he came with one as opposed to the scandal that would be brought about when he found one while he was there?
I know. If she was in graduate school at UNC.
Right.
Russell asked if he could do the triple Lindy. Very nice.
Yes.
Back to school reference there. That would have been a scandal. But, dude, I mean, she came in with him. She's like, that's his woman.
He got out ahead of it.
She was my woman, man. We did time. That's from Point Break. Sky. Her name was Skylar, too, since we were talking about Skylar Mead today. I need to do that with Skylar, man. She's my woman, man. We did time. I mean, what? I understand the age difference. I just think I just don't know why this is a thing, Phil.
I know.
I'm happy for him. He's living his best life. Oh, and I didn't even mention that what else Gazoo said. Oh, by the way, they're going to pay you $10 million and pay your sons a bunch of money to come coach with you. So you not only are you getting to go back to school, you're getting to coach in the ACC.
Right.
You're getting $10 million a year. You got people that worship in the ground you walk on. You get to go back to college, which in and of itself is a youthful environment. Chapel Hill is a nice place to be. You got both your sons working for you. You got your buddy Lombardi running the show.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And by the way, a 24-year-old hot girlfriend that's going to handle all the crap that if you're Bill Belichick, you hate, and you know he does because he acts like it. The book and everything else. And this thing called email.
This newfangled.
He actually, there's some of his Patriots players have talked about emails. He sends emails. He does send emails. So look, dude, why are we messing with this guy? He hadn't even coached a game with. Why are there players who North Carolina should fire him? And why is Bubba Cunningham, who just got punked on the hire?
Yeah.
But we talk about board of trustees around here. Nothing like that has ever happened at South Carolina. It's happened at Missouri when they hired Eli Drinkwitz, and probably it worked out well for them.
Yeah, right.
Because Jeff Monken from Army was one of the guys. I think, Skip Holtz was on that list. I think Skip would have done a good job there. And then one more. And they were like, how about no? And so the board of curators said, we want a young offensive guy to replace Barry Odom. And so they came back with Drinkwitz, and Drinks worked out for them quite well. But that's the only other place I remember this definitely happening. Now, we've had the Tennessee revolts, and we had the Texas A&M thing, but those weren't actually like, those were different. Boosters were more involved with that.
Yeah, that's the donor revolt.
A governing body that's supposed to just kind of be like watchdogs, right? And for a member of that board at North Carolina to go behind everybody's back and hire freaking Bill Belichick, that's the craziest thing ever. But leave him alone. I mean,
right?
Leave him. He's a senior citizen, living his best life,
right?
And for Bill Belichick, he's not a big golf. He ain't like all these other coaches that won't go play golf all the time and all that good stuff. He's a ball coach. That's all he does. And he likes art. And that's what he and the girl have in common. And we go see this Picasso. Yeah, I don't know. Overrated. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go start dating this 24-year-old.
That's right.
He calls up his son Hard Rock Harry. Steve Belichick, Hard Rock. He's a Hard Rock Harry, dude. He's got the full beard. He looks like one of the Rex Ryan or Rob Ryan. He looks like Rob Ryan. You call up Hard Rock Harry. He's like, hey, kid, what's going on? Yeah, you'd be happy for the old man. By the way, I'm getting the North Carolina job. They're gonna pay me $10 million. You want to come be the defensive coordinator? I mean, yeah, Dad. I mean, you're having a family reunion. You're in college again. We all want to be younger. We can't. You can't. They haven't invented the time machine yet. Although I thought I saw a naked Arnold Schwarzenegger forming on my lawn. Yes, just give me your clothes, JC.
Give me your clothes.
Give me your clothes and your belt. No, look, I'm just saying, leave the guy alone.
Right.
I mean, if he's a failure of a coach, we can all sit here and say, what a stupid hire by North Carolina.
Well, that's the thing, is that we need to limit the assailability to what it is he's going to be able to do in the football season, right? I mean, it's not like he's had these missteps along the way, in my opinion, from what I've seen. He's not out there saying stupid stuff. He's not, no, it's just, you don't like her because she's 24 years old and is doing a job that you'd love to have. Some of it, I think, is jealousy.
Yeah.
Like when you look across what some of these people are talking about and how they're attacking her and him. It's
there's just some stuff, Pablo Torre or whatever. Look, I mean, why is it his job? Who appointed his ass to be the investigative freaking reporter to dig up stuff on this girl? It's just mean. It has no relevance to anything. Right?
Maybe that's why John Skipper left.
I don't know. Not to get off future journalism, but so I'm looking at his Twitter. Investigating Belichick's girlfriend. Spoke to 11 sources. She left the set, came back, according to my sources. Who cares? We broke the news of an important meeting where UNC higher-ups told the football program Jordan Hudson can't be around the facility anymore. Regardless,
to which they put that right back out this morning saying, whoa. Hold on.
North Carolina said, well, we'll see if she's out there. I mean, but there'll be no follow-up from anybody on that end.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Wanted to sit there and stand by their story. When we see her in person at the football. Now, do I think maybe there's some conversations that took place and it's unfortunate leaked? Yeah. But I think, number one, Pablo Torres, if you want to, of course, they're giving Pulitzer prizes for just stuff that's inaccurate now. This crazy stuff, right? If you read the Pulitzers, go investigate that. So I don't know what journalism is anymore, but I don't know why this is important and serves your audience at all to just go dig up dirt on this girl. What did she do? Like, usually if you're going to dig up dirt on somebody, is it just because it's an interesting story? Is that why? Are you mad? Are you mad? Are you mad, bro? I don't know. I just think it's wrong. I'll read it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll read every
it, right? Yeah, I mean, I'll consume
Ben
it.
says the rumor is her mom owns an adult toy shop in Maine. Again, why is anyone from the left at all talking about anything like that? With the stuff they talk, they I mean, I'm sorry, and it's not political. It's just I don't understand why. So why is this a big deal? But if you say something that hurts someone else's feelings, that's that they kind of promote and protect, then you get canceled. Well, a woman can't own an adult toy shop in Maine.
That's right.
I bet she's younger than Bill Belichick too. I wonder how old she is.
The
I
odds
wonder how
are
old the mom is.
Odds are she is if you run the numbers, JC.
She is young as 44. She's probably younger than Hard Rock Harry.
I'm gonna be younger than his son.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry, folks. I know I've talked too long about this. I just don't understand it. I feel I'm just like, I would say leave Bill Belichick alone, but I don't think he cares. I just think he wants to coach football. He's living his best life.
Seriously, I mean, if anybody you're going after has the ability to compartmentalize things, is this guy, right? Like, he totally has operated with I don't give a crap about anything other than we're on to Wake Forest. We're on
to Wake Forest.
That's it.
Ben did make a funny. He said, "Imagine Bill Belichick pulling a Todd Golden."
Right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's what I'm saying is, like, I mean, North Carolina should thank their lucky stars that Jordan came and stuck with him through this, because you really could. You want to talk about investigative journalism? Let a couple of emails with attachments fly out of that inbox.
I'll end on this, Phil. What you just said, North Carolina should be thankful for. But did she? That's the next good question for Pablo Torre or whatever.
That's right. Yeah. Hey, listen, go find that out.
You want to know everything about everybody? It's none of your damn business. That's fine. It's ridiculous. Mom is 44. Grandma is 58. Great grandma is 73. Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
Well, it could be. It's mathematically possible.
Oh, yeah. The 44-58 was
Titanic.
More eye-popping thing for me, but yeah.
A woman's heart has no. Could you imagine all of them on a cruise together? The generations?
4 generations.
Bill's sitting there. Some songs from the 70s come on, like Beatles. I like the Beatles. Grandma does too. My grandma does too. My grandma? What?
Huh? My great grandma.
Hair. Beatles. Beetle Bailey's a great cartoon. That's the great grandma. Back in the newspapers.
That's right, newspaper. I love Family Circle.
Bruin says they're having babies at 13. You get to take the covered wagon. I don't know.
13.
Oh my God!
Back then in the 70s, Bruin. That's it.
I think I'm gonna name this episode "Adult Toy Shop." Since Ben shared this,
a Maine adult toy shop.
Ben said it's the Love Boat. All right, folks. Jamie Bradford will be back. Be sure to catch the top of the morning show on Monday. I was talking to Jamie earlier today, and I think it's going to be a really good episode. Of course, John Whittle will be in. Mike Morgan will be in. Don't forget, we did have a JC and Morgan this week with Josh Pate. It is up.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to put the podcast up 2 hours after we finished for a change. So it's up on podcast and up on the YouTube channel. Also, College Football Forever Chief is the JC and Morgan YouTube channel, as well as this one. Be sure to have a good weekend. Don't forget, we love you guys.
Yes, we
even if we're 72 and you're 24.
It's,
or even if you were an investigative journalist, but or not an investigative journalist. I mean, to me, those are people that uncover corruption and stuff.
Yeah, this is not investigative.
Why are we now worried about like whose feelings a 24-year-old is hurting in the athletic department with these grown-ass people at North Carolina of all places, where I'm sure they're just, Carruthers, this is terrible. My baby blue heart can't take this. Well, Bubba, she's beneath us. I'm calling her grandmother. I went to high school with her.
She doesn't even like wine.
Doesn't even like wine. Get us out of here, Phil.
All right, everybody, we are out. JC Shurburtt, Phil Mullinax, thanks for hanging in there with us as we had a short week ourselves. JB with a well-deserved break this morning. We'll be back and raring to go Monday. We will see you at noon on Monday. Everybody enjoy your weekend because we've all been working for it. Go Cox.